Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. The All Progressive Congress-led federal government will be celebrating its second anniversary on May 29, 2017. President Muhammadu Buhari on Sunday, May 7th, described the rescue of 82 Chibok schoolgirls as a pleasant second anniversary gift for all Nigerians. On today's episode of the Osasu Show, we discuss with the co-convener of Bring Back Our Girls campaign, Mrs. AIsha Yesufu, who has been very vocal in demanding the release of all Chibok schoolgirls. In a viral video taking the internet by storm, she called for the resignation of President Muhammadu Buhari and the full installation of the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo. She'll share her reasons why with us after this short break. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back on the Osasu Show. Welcome back to the Osasu Show. With me now is AIsha Yesufu, who is the co-founder of Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Thank you so much for joining me on today's program.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, let's talk about your personal life and your background. You're popularly known as one of the pioneers of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. And you've been married for 19 years. So tell me about the work you do and how you're able to juggle family life and your passion for activism.
I'm from Edo State, and a lot of people are actually very surprised about that. But I was born and brought up in Kano, and so I'm practically like I'm a Nigerian child. I'm a child of both the North and the South, and so for me it's all about Nigeria. I grew up in Kano. I got married 19 years ago when I was 24. I had my son, my first child, when I was 25. And you know, ironically, growing up, before I was 10, because I'm this kind of a person, even when I was much younger, I planned my life. I had a lot of things I wanted to do, even though at a certain time in our lives, my father lost all his businesses and we became extremely poor. But I had that vision, and I would read, and there were things I wanted to do, even though we lived in the ghetto, but I knew I wanted to leave the ghetto, and I just wanted to have all my kids before I was 30. I wanted to have just 2 kids and all that, and hey, we got that done. I've been married for 19 years to an amazing human being. He's such a wonder. When I met my husband, I met him at my uncle's bachelor's eve. That was the first time. That was my first night party, my uncle's bachelor's eve, when I met my husband there. And the first day he came there, he was like, I'll come and see you. Maybe I'll come and see you on Saturday. And I said to my husband, I don't do maybes. It's either you're coming. Then he wasn't my husband. That was the first time I said, it's either you're coming or you're not coming, because I can't stay in my room all day waiting on maybe. And he said he will come on Saturday. And that was it. 7 months later, hey, we were married. And so he knew I'm this woman who is vocal. And the thing I love about my husband is that he allows me to be me. When I turned 40, in 2013, December 12th to be precise, I said to myself, the first 40 years of my life, I've given it to myself. I grew up poor. I would go to school in the morning without breakfast. Coming back home, I wasn't expecting lunch. By age 11, all my friends were married up. I grew up in a place called Konahudu in Kano. It's a ghetto. It's like the Ajegule of Kano. And so I knew financial independence was very important to me. So the first 40 years, I had to work on myself. I had to work on helping myself and others. So when I turned 40, I came to the realization that I had become the problem of Nigeria. Because as a young girl, trying to be educated, I remember that's why I'm so passionate about the Chibok girl, because I see myself as a Chibok girl. I was once then, 26 years ago, because I was writing my SSC then. I didn't have food to eat. I didn't have books to read. I would beg people, please, would you give me a textbook? I still remember a chemistry textbook. I went around begging people to give me so that I would get an A. Nobody did. And so I realized at 40, and then I hated Nigeria and I hated its leaders. I realized that at 40 now, I had become the problem. That person that was just like me, that is still like me, I'm not fighting for that person. And I said to my husband, at this moment, I need to give my voice on issue. Two things I was interested in, women empowerment, because that's very, very important, and education, especially the girl child education. And we started discussing, I said, okay, things that I will look at for. That was December 2013. By April 2014, Chibok gets abducted. But before then, Bunyadi happened. And I saw them on TV when they had gone to make the protest. And I said to my husband, I wish I was there, but I didn't know about it. But when Chibok happened, initially we were told that all had been brought back. And so at the gym, a friend of mine said, oh, there's going to be a march for, to demand for the release of the girls that were taken. I said, I thought they had all been brought back. And so she said, no. And so immediately I called my husband and I said, okay, go ahead. I didn't have a red hijab. So I asked her what was the color. She said red. I didn't have any red hijab. So I went to the market, I bought one, and that's it.
But that consistency over the past 3 years that you have exhibited, does he sometimes tell you, babe, or whatever he calls you, scale back a little, I'm fearful of your life? Has he ever had that conversation with you?
No. He calls me baby, actually. And never. I remember one time, somebody in the company, one of the companies that I distribute for, and the manager, we went for a business meeting, and he looked at him and said, why do you allow your wife to do all that? Aren't you afraid? And my husband said to him, if it was your daughter that was taken, would you not want my wife to be on the streets demanding for her to be brought back? And he said yes. So that has always been it. My husband is my rock, honestly. He's my teacher. I respect him so much. He's just an amazing human being. And like I said earlier, he allows me to be me. If he was this kind of husband that would want to curtail, probably we wouldn't have gotten to 19 years.
Well, let's talk about the highlight of the past couple of weeks. 82 Chibok girls were released. And I believe right now it's about 103?
113.
113, that's including the 21 that were released.
Are remaining. Okay, no, 106.
106
yes.
that have been released in total now.
Yes.
And 113 that were remaining. But in the beginning, initially, it was 276 girls that were kidnapped. 113 and 106 don't add up to...
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Because 57 escaped on their own.
Okay.
270 from the Sabo Committee report that was set up by the last administration. And from their findings was that 276 girls were taken away.
Exactly.
57 escaped immediately after. I think some, as they were going, some of them jumped after the moving vehicle. There were some that held on to trees and then the trucks moved away. There were some that got to the camp and then the roundabout. So in the early days, 57 were able to escape on their own, remaining 219.
219.
Yes, 219.
21 of which were rescued in October of 2016.
Yes, before then 3 were found.
3 were found, okay.
And then now 82.
So another girl escaped after the 82 Chibok girls were released, but Bring Back Our Girls claims that's not one of the Chibok girls.
No, she's not. Even the presidency have come out to claim that she's not one of the Chibok girls, but she schools in Chibok.
But would you congratulate the federal government? Would you at least applaud them?
Absolutely, we do that.
Because you recently called for the resignation of the
president.
president.
I did that in my personal capacity and on other issues. But on the fact that 82 had been rescued, absolutely, we congratulate the federal government. We congratulate our military. We congratulate citizens of this nation.
So why would you want the president to resign, given the fact that in the past administration, none of the Chibok girls were returned? But this new administration has come about and brought the release of what, 113 Chibok girls? 106. Sorry, 106 Chibok girls with 113 remaining. If they're doing a good job in bringing about this, rescue that you're so passionate about, why would you want the administration to resign?
I think for me, basically, like I said, that wasn't a stand of the Bring Back Our Girls movement. Bring Back Our Girls movement had nothing to do with that. That was me as a human being who decided when I turned 14 that I needed to lend my voice to something. And when Chibok happened, I lent my voice to it. And on other issues, to have continued to lend my voice to them. And on the issue of the whole governance, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. For me, the way
so are you satisfied with the current administration's performance and in regards to bringing back the Chibok girls? Are you satisfied?
I would want to see more.
Okay.
I'm happy with the fact that we have gotten 106 back. Kudos to the Nigerian government. Like we always said, the Bring Back Our Girls movement believed in the Nigerian government, even when the Nigerian government didn't believe in itself. And that's why when people will say to us, why are you not saying the terrorists? We say, no, absolutely not. We have nothing to do with the terrorists. We gave our government our mandate, and we know our government can deal with the terrorists, and we can have our girls back. And that's one of the things that have been done. And we've continued to applaud that. But there are certain issues on which we have raised concerns, first of all, we have the feedback mechanism. We cannot just say the government is doing something and it's not talking to the parents. Parents are left in limbo. Do you know the psychological effect of what it does to them? We saw after the 3rd year commemoration, there was just a statement from the federal government. But even the rehabilitation, there should be more openness. We should ensure that our girls, because if we bring them back and allow them fall through the cracks, then the terrorists would have won. Because what the terrorists really wanted was for our girls not to go to school. And so that's why we kept making our demand. But absolutely, we congratulate the federal government. But as on my own, it's a personal statement that I made, looking at the things that are on ground. And that's different from the movement. People need to realize that the fact that somebody has given one's voice to a movement doesn't mean that the person should not have voice to speak on other issues.
This administration, if President Buhari and his vice president, if they resign, right, what's the next step? What good will that bring about in Nigeria?
The acting president is not to resign. I don't know why people are misconstruing the video that I did. I never for one moment said the acting president needed to...
You did criticize the acting president.
What I said was that he wasn't taking charge the way he ought to take charge.
Because he was in an acting capacity.
He was, you know, there's something about being politically correct and doing the right thing and being diplomatic. Sometimes I don't get it because I'm not one, honestly. That's why for me, I hate any position, any leadership position.
So just to clarify, you want President Muhammadu Buhari to resign.
And then the acting president take over as, he will now be the president, and then we'll be able to work effectively. Please, let's not forget, we need drastic reforms in education, in health sector, the police, in our civil service, a whole lot of reforms. There are situations where you say, it's okay to coast. No problem, even if it's not 2 years, we coast. But we are in a situation where things are bad, and you need all of these things to work. We have a lot of ministers right now who are, you don't even know their names, you don't even know their day, you don't even know what they're doing. They need to just give space so that people who can work will come and get the work done.
On that thought, let's take a short break now. When we return, we'll have more with AIsha Yesufu, who's the co-founder of Bring Back Our Girls. Don't go anywhere.
Some say Africa's golden era is gone. A time when great African kings and queens built their dreams into empires, stretching across the continent and beyond. But we say a new era is upon us. A new set of African kings and queens are on the rise, driven by the same wealth of character as the kings and queens before them, building new empires of enterprise with the right partnership. So rise up wherever you are, new kings and queens of Africa. Embrace your full potential and be proud of your heritage. Heritage Bank, your timeless wealth partner.
Welcome back to the Osasu Show. Still with me is AIsha Yesufu, who is the co-founder of Bring Back Our Girls campaign. Thank you so much for sitting tight.
Thank you.
We've been having some discussions about your satisfaction, or lack thereof, of the government's rescue mission to bring back the Chibok girls. As we said, there are 113 girls remaining. Do you believe before this administration runs over in 2019 that these 113 girls will be rescued?
Absolutely. I have 100% belief in my government, and I know that we can. The Nigerian government is capable, and as long as we put our minds to it, we'll get it done. Definitely, they all will be brought back and accounted for.
Okay. The rehabilitation of these girls has been one of the, it's sort of a bone of contention, because the 106 girls that have been rescued have not been able to fully reunite with their families, because they've been in rehabilitation camps, which has been spearheaded by the federal government. What is your take on this? Do you believe these girls need to be kept under the control and the guidance of the federal government, or do you suggest that they finally reunite with their families?
I think in the sense of they have reunited with their families, they have met their families.
Yes, but they're not in the care of
no,
families.
they are not,
living with their
no,
families.
They are not living with their families. Yes. And I think right now the way it is, the federal government taking care of them, it's the way it should be. It's absolutely necessary, looking at the fact that there's so much insecurity still in the Northeast, especially where the parents are living. They're far away, they are scattered in these small communities that it's not easily accessible, and so they will have more care here with federal government. The only thing that we ask for is the fact that the parents, they should be able to be in touch and in contact with their daughters, not in a situation whereby it takes so much for them to be able to speak with their families.
So right now they're not in touch with their daughters?
Not as much as it should be, but recently we've seen that the federal government has brought in a delegation of 8 parents to come in. But in bringing the delegation of 8 parents to come and see some of their children, they said it's going to be a program. They will keep bringing them in batches, not just to bring all of them, the parents to come and see their children and go back. But in doing that, you need to inform the whole parents that their children are here, that this is going to happen. Because you have situations whereby you've brought in some, most of the parents don't even know, and they are asking. And ironically, what normally happens is that the parents come back to us to ask us what is going on, because they feel like, I remember distinctly when one of the parents said that, one of the parents rather said that you live in Abuja, so you have more information than we do, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. There should be openness, there should be feedback mechanism from the government, but with the fact that they are with the federal government, that's for us, that's absolutely.
How are the
okay.
parents taking it though? Because it's one thing having your child taken away from you for over 3 years. Now they're finally back. You're still not able to sit down and have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with them. You're still not able to do regular people activities with them. What are the parents' perspective on this? Are they okay with their children being in Abuja while they're in Borno? Or what if some of them choose to relocate to Abuja? Would their daughters be allowed to, finally join their custody again?
I think the parents are okay with their daughters being with the federal government and being taken care of. But the issue of their access to them, to a very good extent, they are sort of like resigned. Let's not forget that these are parents who are poor. And unfortunately in Nigeria, when you're poor, you're faceless, you're nameless, you're voiceless. And so it's everything that they are told. They don't even know. So they go with what they are being told by the government, sometimes the government officials, or you have to fall in place, or else this. And so they just go by all of these things that are told. If they were parents that were more educated, more exposed, I mean, some of the things that is being done right now definitely would not be allowed to happen.
Have you had a chance to speak directly one-on-one with any of the Chibok girls?
No. The ones that have been rescued?
Yes,
no,
the
not at
rescued
all.
Chibok
No,
girls.
not at all.
Why is that?
Well, the federal government has not allowed us, and we are okay with that. All we're demanding for our girls to get the best care that they can, to be rehabilitated, reintegrated, and ensure they get back to school. We don't want to hear stories of any of them not wanting to go back to schools or any excuses. We want each and every one of them to be educated. And so for now, we have not met with the girls, and it's perfectly fine. All I want, as long as the parents are able to meet with their daughters, that's good by us.
Do you have any insight to the rehabilitation program that the federal government is currently putting on for the Chibok girls?
No, apart from what they put out in the space,
so
in
there's
the
no
public
means
space.
Of verify?
No, we can't verify. We can't independently verify.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift gears a little to the 2019 upcoming elections. We've heard from a lot of young people, even social media commentators, that it's the same crop of leaders that are going to come up again in 2019. As an advocate for good governance and accountability, transparency, how do you intend, or how do you reckon we kind of put a halt to the same crop of leaders coming back up and the same crop of issues, rearing its head in Nigeria?
I call on Nigerians, please come out and contest. You can do it. Wherever it is, at whatever level, start from the local government level, so that we begin to build this country. If you keep leaving it for people that we keep complaining about, that they keep coming, so what do you do at the end of the day? Nigeria can go places. All we need, we have what it takes in this country, as long as we allow religion and put it by the side. Religion is a personal belief, my dear. We don't have to worship God the same way. But we should be okay in the way we worship and be okay in the way the other person worships. The day Nigeria will drop their generational hatred and begin to hire people based on competence, based on capacity, based on character, that's the day we will get a Nigeria right. And we can do that if we start it now.
And for now, as of today, you feel that person that can enable us achieve our goals for the next 5 years is Professor Yemi Osinbajo?
He can. He can, absolutely. And
in his acting capacity, do you think he has achieved enough?
No, I don't think so. Because I think he's still being held back. Let me give you an example. Right now, the president is sick. I was one person. In calling out to the president to resign, I was talking to him as a daughter. If he is my biological father, he would have resigned. He needs to take care of himself. He needs to focus on his life right now. The president, I have some tweets. I don't know when I did those tweets. When I said, I admire President Muhammadu Buhari, his physique, over 70. Then I was much bigger. Now I'm back to the gym after 3 years and getting fit. He was one of the people that challenged me. I'm like, at 70, the president sits upright. Whenever he's doing his walking, it's even his distance that will be catching up, trotting to keep up with him. He stands upright. He was so strong. But in February, when the president was leaving, I almost wept. Because you could see he was wobbling. And when he before he entered the plane, he practically lunged. This time, and then they were still saying he wasn't sick. This time that the president left, the other day I was looking, and I saw a picture of my president. He didn't have any hair. I made a phone call to somebody. I said, wow, the president looks so sick. I had complained of that sickness when I saw him. I can't remember which of the election, whether Ondo or Edo. I said, what's wrong? The president doesn't look so well. I'm talking my capacity as a citizen who look up to him. I have his best interests at heart. And I said he didn't look so well. When he was going this time, he was shuffling. That's not the man who took over the mantle of this country.
So as an individual, a patriotic citizen, lastly, what are your final words to citizens? How can they become as brave as you are and consistent as you are in holding these leaders accountable? Citizens
need to understand that they are employers of government. The highest office in the land is not the office of the president, it's the office of the citizen. And the day they begin to understand that is the day they will know they have the power to question. And when government does something for them, it's not a privilege. That is why they were sent there. And most importantly, for crying out loud, can we do away with the generational hatred? You wake up, you are hating somebody from another tribe or another religion. If they ask you why, you don't know. I say to people all the time, how are you sure you are who you are? The only reason why you're a particular tribe is because your parents told you. What if those parents come and they say to you, you're not really our child, we adopted you, and your parents are from the tribe that you're hating? What will you do then? As long as we drop away all this generational hatred, all this divide that we have, and of course, coming back to that, there are certain things in our system that we need to change. State of origin, we need to do away with it. Catchment area, we need to do away with it. What's the other one that they talk about? Federal character. So these are things in which we divide this country, and we must change them, which is in law, and we must change those things and begin to focus more on place of residence so that Nigeria will have a sense of oneness amongst us, and we keep going. And one thing that I say to people who always say to me that, oh, Nigeria will work there later, I said, no, Nigeria must work in our lifetime, and you and I must fight for it. That's all.
AIsha Yesufu, it's been a pleasure having you on today's episode of the Osasu Show. We hope you will exceed when next we call on you.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. That's it for today's episode of the Osasu Show. To watch extended clips from this interview, you can visit our website, www.tostvnetwork.com. To find news on sustainable development and current affairs across Africa, you can also visit our website and check out my opinion on my personal website, osasuigbinedion.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media at The Osasu Show, at TOSTV Network, and at Osasu Igbinedion on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week, and until then, take very good care of yourself. God bless you.